Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Instrumental Podcast.
Yeah, what was up with that? Who turned that one in?
He didn't leave a username, but he left a very...
No words at all. Not even.
The subject was rock synth, well-produced instrumental. So he knew he had gold when he sent it to us.
Nice.
He also got after Bernie for being a little anti-British.
Yeah, well, fuck the Brits.
Yeah. He said it's a little ridiculous. You can only get away with irony for so long before it becomes boring, stereotypical, and slightly offensive.
He's obviously never met Gavin or Ben.
So shame on you guys for being so anti-British.
Unlike you, sir, I'm not well-produced. Can you call yourself well-produced? I mean, can you call your own stuff? It's very well-produced.
Well, he did it. You know, he just threw it out there. You can't do anything about it now.
That's pretty much how Puff Daddy got famous, right?
Right. It's like,
He just told people he was good.
It's like the Lady Gaga syndrome. Hey, I'm famous.
Yeah, there you go.
You're famous.
You know, I got called out last week for being anti-gay as well.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
How dare you?
As a gay man, I take offense to that. Being called secretly gay, man.
Man, you're just not having any luck. You're just offending everyone, aren't you?
Listen, I just put ideas out there.
I was so upset I could barely fuck a butt last night.
Now Jeff's starting off. But
restarting the podcast.
I'm super pro-gay, though.
Here's why I got called out. I got called out because I talked about girls who kiss at parties, and that our guys going to start doing that too.
I hope so.
Like, is that the trend where things are headed?
Yeah.
And I think they thought that I was equating girls kissing at parties to actually being gay. I don't think the girls that kiss at parties in front of guys who are screaming, I don't think they're actually gay. I hate to break anybody's bubble.
Yeah, no, just like the lesbians on the Howard Stern show aren't really lesbians.
What?
Yeah.
I know.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, no. I mean, it's been fake.
Yeah. If you're blonde and 36 double D, you're probably not really a lesbian.
Oh, now Jeff's in a totally different territory now. But I got called out on that, and I wasn't even speaking about actually same-sex kissing as being gay. People who do that for attention.
That's not gay. Yeah, no, that's attention whoring. That's all that is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
It's funny you got called out on it because when I was editing the podcast after we were done, I listened to that section and I paused and I thought, is this anti-gay? Is this something I should cut out? And I re-listened to it just to be safe. And I was like, no, it's not.
I will say that I do think it is a double standard that it's cool for girls to kiss at a party, but not cool for guys to kiss at a party.
I don't think it's
like
cool
guys
for
should be able to attention whore just as well as women.
You and I did it.
You and I have kissed on a few occasions
in front of a CNN camera.
That's true. We did. We kissed in front of the CNN in
an
interview with CNN.
And they cut it. Who's anti-gay now?
Yeah, CNN.
Ew.
Wolf Blitzer.
You guys aren't gay.
No, I've got some photos to show you.
We definitely are attention whoring, though. So I guess that just goes to your point, Bernie.
But it does. Yeah, exactly. Let's cut out the attention whores. That's what I want to get rid of. Are the attention whores at parties where everyone stands around and whoops. It's just let's be done with that. Okay, let's just absolutely everybody be happy and comfortable with it. But when you talked about it being a double standard, it's actually kind of reversed in a way. Because remember all the movies in the 50s, like with Jack Lemmon, where the guys would dress up as women? And even on like network television, it's always a big deal when the two male cast members kiss in like the 5th season or 6th season. That seems like that always happens in every sitcom.
The only time I can remember two guys kissing on television was that Adam Lambert thing, which turned into a whole scandal. And
no, I'm talking as part of the sitcom.
As part of the sitcom.
Remember when Urkel and Carl Winslow kissed in Family Matters? The series never recovered.
Ew.
I have no idea. I couldn't honestly think of anything.
Did the bosom buddies ever kiss?
Gary Coleman and Mr. Drummond. But like, and it seems like Saturday Night Live now too. That's a major part of the season. There's been a lot of guy and guy
kissing in SNL this year. It's pretty awesome.
Did you see the Zach Galifianakis one?
No,
that's great.
No, I saw that. Was it another one of the Kiss family ones where the family's overly affectionate?
It was.
Yeah,
and they were at a funeral. And I think Zach Galifianakis played like a Greek Orthodox priest or something like that. It was pretty damn funny.
That sounds awesome. I haven't seen that.
So
it does sound good.
Hey, not anti-gay, but please don't get me started on minorities.
So, despite all the talk that we've been having so far, we actually do have a Silent Fourth sitting in the podcast. I just want him to speak up.
He's waiting.
Say hello, Silent Fourth.
What up, yo?
All right, there you go. It's a gangster Ohm.
Okay.
So
you go back to sleep now, Monty.
Monty's first words ever heard as a member of the company were, "What up, yo?"
What up, yo?
So, we got Monty in the podcast, who is our most recent hire, I guess, at Rooster Teeth, who's helping us work with on Red vs. Blue Season 8.
Jack is on a JetBlue flight today, New York, to see Crisis 2. I would imagine, like, that's the way you actually would play Crysis 2 is that its system requirements would be so intensive that you have to fly to a different city to actually load the game.
there's no computers in Texas that can handle Crysis 2.
Isn't Crysis 2 on console now?
Yeah, it's going to be on console.
Is it?
I think so.
Still looks
I think
fucking good.
It's almost like its own marketing campaign that you can't play this game.
It's true.
You think it's like
I didn't even-
whoever
yeah.
makes Crysis 2, it's like a shell company run by like Nvidia or ATI to like sell new video cards. It's like make the most ridiculous game you can, so everyone has to buy new video cards.
Right.
I think it's a fucking conspiracy. I'm onto something here. It's
There you go, buddy.
the tip of the iceberg.
What is it though? Like, what is the game? Have you played it?
I've never played Crysis.
It's an FPS. I mean,
I don't know.
it's like a Halo competitor. I mean, it's guys in power suits, you know.
Guys in power suits.
And
Isn't it?
That'd be a great name
you know-
for a band.
You know what? They I think they got kind of something similar to the loadouts, right? Where you got to power a guy up at speed, like the game. Fucking, you boot it up, and it's the first thing that it says is maximum game, and then you load up certain things like you want to be super strength, and then the game it says to you maximum power, and then your armor turns red, and then suddenly you're super strong and shit.
I don't know.
So, can you
understand.
just tell the game, I want to win maximum victory? And then you don't have to worry about it.
Maximum button.
Could you get maximum is the question.
But what is it? Because when I look at screenshots,
It's just like
it
a
looks
military
like,
FPS.
It's
but
a
it
mil-
looks like Far Cry.
It's a military FPS, and you're in these power suits.
You know what we can do?
Is it Jungle Island based?
Yeah.
Oh, right. You know what it's like?
Wait,
It's like
isn't that Far Cry?
We can
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's like Predator, where like you're going to this base and you're doing this normal like infiltration type thing against like the Korean army, and then suddenly they're aliens, right?
Wait, the Koreans are aliens?
No. You're fighting like Korean
I
soldiers,
always suspected.
and then suddenly there's like these aliens that show up, and shit.
And they're working with the Koreans or against them?
And they start kissing at
Is
parties.
it 3-on-3? Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
All right, well, that was very informative. Thank you.
Come on. Here's
Big
what
help.
I know. Here's what I know. This is Crysis 2 by Monty Ohm. There's a guy in a power suit, and he's maximum, and he fights Korean aliens.
And it might or might not be set on a jungle somewhere.
No, that was me. That's all I interjected.
Why don't we just wait till Jack comes back next week and ask him?
That's probably a good idea.
There you go.
You know, and funny.
No, I like Monty's version better.
the first-
Nothing Jack can come back with would be better.
Let's make that game.
The
That
first
sounds fun.
the first game company I worked at, my lead producer was like the lead designer on that game. He told me all about it. I just don't fucking remember.
So, what is it like to be the lead designer of a game where, like, the sky is the limit? You know, like, well, let's worry about efficiency. No, forget that. Throw it out.
We're trying
Minimum
to
efficiency.
we're trying to sell video cards here, guys.
Maximum graphics. And didn't they spun off the engine? That was one of those games that Crytek was the engine that ran Crysis.
And Far Cry.
And Far Cry. Okay, now it all makes sense.
Wow, is that true?
Yeah, it's all
I
Cry.
didn't know that.
I knew that Far Cry was the Crytek engine. And that came after Crysis?
Nope.
Yeah, I think Far Cry was first.
Far Cry was first. Then
Crysis.
Crysis, and now Far Cry 2. and
Okay,
now
yeah,
Crysis
Far Cry 2 was the 360 game.
How does Devil May Cry fit into this? And we've talked about Crysis before because wasn't that developer the one that said 90% or 95% of their multiplayer matches were played by pirated copies of the game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Some ridiculously high statistic.
Bunch of bullshit.
You don't think it's true, or you don't think?
No, I think it's bullshit that that's the case.
you don't think it's cool.
I don't think it's cool at all.
Not cool at
Makes
all.
me mad. Makes me sad.
Makes me think of that kid from PAX.
Yeah.
Who I guess turned himself in after being on the lamb.
What a fucking genius. He was hiding out in fucking multiplayer Modern Warfare 2. They'll never look for me here.
what the hell was that again?
He's
I'm camping.
I'm camping.
Found a good spot.
I'm over at the ammo dump.
Catch me, coppers.
I think he turned himself in, and I think he has his new arraignments like on May 19th or something.
Wow.
Well, good luck to everybody involved.
Yeah.
So wait,
Yeah.
You think they're gonna throw the book at him? I guess they didn't add any charges
What
for him
did they?
not showing up.
They listed the value of the code at $6 million. I
Yeah.
think so. It was a $6 million theft. That dude's like the Pink Panther. It's like a jewel thief.
you know what? Yeah, he's doing it in broad daylight. He should
Yeah.
like suspended himself on wires.
I don't know who said it, but every time I look at this kid now, I see Harry Potter. He looks just like Daniel Radcliffe to me.
I think he's got the biggest, nerdiest balls ever.
Yeah, that's pretty big balls. If he did
Yeah.
it, we don't
If
even
he
know for
did it.
sure.
Allegedly.
He admitted to doing it at the show.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know that.
allegedly.
You mean allegedly, right? He said it.
Allegedly.
There's one thing I've learned. from
Allegedly, he's told everyone that he was stealing the game. Allegedly.
Allegedly,
Only,
a fucking crook.
only half the expo hall heard it. Allegedly.
Yeah, there were a lot of witness accounts. I think we'll be okay.
Allegedly.
He might come here and steal something from us. Oh, I gotta give a shout out to Brandon because he's not here today, but he was the guy who produced and mostly directed the immersion short that we did.
Yeah, and he
Did a great job.
He didn't even get to go see people see it live.
He didn't?
No,
We had to put him up in the projector booth, like doing traffic control, since we didn't know what we had or what what we were showing.
He was there.
We put him
was
up
there,
with
but
the
he was in the
projectionist,
booth.
and we were coordinating via text message as to what was being shown next and like what we were going to do.
Yeah, because we had the premiere of the Red vs. Blue season last week on Thursday,
That was a lovely time.
and then you guys went to the Alamo and did a show in person there for a wonderful audience of how many people? Like 250?
About 350, I think.
Oh, 350. Wow.
Yeah, whatever the theater capacity is. I think it was like 350.
How was that?
Sold out. It was great.
Wow.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm always nervous that it's not going to sell out and there's going to be like half the theater's going to be empty.
It was a really awesome audience. There were some people that came from like somebody came from Chicago, somebody came from like Wisconsin, a lot of people from
Ohio?
like,
Goddamn.
Ohio. Yeah, there were people from all over. It was really cool.
This one woman drove up from Corpus with her kids.
That's true.
Not as far as those other places.
Not as far as those
That's
people.
like
They-
2 hours.
They were super nice though.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to see RVB? That's crazy.
Thank you, Monty.
Yeah, great.
You know what I mean.
Oh, Monty.
All right.
So today, I guess unofficially, this is the 1-year anniversary of the start of our weekly podcast.
What?
What?
Awesome.
Is it?
We started on April 10th of last year.
You did.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it's April 7th today.
We started putting the podcast out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But we had been doing them for a while before that, the ones we never
We'd
released.
done one in December.
Now, you shouldn't say we never released them
We had
because
we
it's
had
going to
some-
sound like we have like some kind of weird library and people are just going to ask for them.
Oh, I'm sorry, but we
never even
didn't
saved
keep
them.
them. But
Yes.
we did 7 or 8 or more before we ever released one. I
they
think.
were so terrible, we deemed they weren't even worth hitting like the save button.
No, absolutely.
Do you remember how that process would work? We would come in here, we'd sit down with the microphones, we'd talk for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we just look at each other and go, fuck this.
Yeah, this
Stand
sucks.
up
Were
and
they-
leave.
were
Yeah,
This is no good.
I actually downloaded our first podcast a little earlier today. I was going to listen to it before we came in, but I ran out of. Didn't
Who
get
was
around
on
to
it?
doing
Do you know?
No, I don't remember.
Were they really that bad?
Yeah, they were pretty terrible.
Well, we
we
just
just
had our
were-
test runs. We were trying to figure out the process.
We have a philosophy, which is we kind of violated a little bit with immersion, where you should do something at least 6 times before you put it out there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's whenever anyone asks for, they're starting a web series, what should they do? We always say, make 6 episodes before you put out the first one.
Yep.
Because then you'll have them. And everyone's like, why would I do that? It's like, well, then you're not really interested in making a web series.
Every day before I have sex with my wife, I jack off 6 times first. Number
Is that
7,
true?
that's the golden one.
She's number 7?
Yep.
Yeah. Lucky number 7.
Got to practice. Got to get it out of your system.
You went right through that.
Gus was
We were nowhere
waiting.
near that. You like cross borders to reach that joke.
Kind of like how you got to Austin. Cross borders.
I think Gus has a new idea for a web series because that's how that thought came up.
But yeah, 1 year. It's crazy that we've been doing it this long. I feel like we've only been doing it like 4 or 5 months.
I can't remember one goddamn thing we've talked about.
Wow.
And I think the only person in the office who listens to the podcast, aside from Bernie and I, is probably Monty. So if anyone could tell you what we've talked about, it probably Monty.
Right. I had like a podcast spree when I knew I was going to be working here. I listened to it for like all the back order of whatever episodes there were. How many? Kept me company while I was working because like it's helpful.
Must have been terrible.
Yeah.
That's not good company.
It's always interesting. Twitter has one cool functionality that tells me what people are doing while they're either listening to the podcast or watching RVB. You know what would you guess would be the number one activity that people are doing while they're watching RVB DVDs? If your guess was folding laundry, you would be correct.
Really? We're the laundry folder.
I guess so. It's like people fold laundry and put on their Red versus Blue
So
DVDs.
we need to corner like a video on demand service that targets laundromats.
That would be great.
I think we're on a new business model here.
Do you remember those old places where you, like in airports, where you could go sit in the chair and they had coin operated
Oh, yeah.
TVs?
Yeah.
I have I shouldn't say my wife has a great idea for a laundromat business. Be like a laundromat that also is a bar, so you can get drunk while you do your laundry.
I think they have coffee houses that are that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But can you get drunk on coffee? No.
that's true.
I don't know. I think I could. There's something about the caffeine that's in coffee. I can drink 20 Diet Cokes in a day. If I drink 1 cup of coffee, I'm just insane by about 4 p.m.
I think that's purely psychological.
No, it's physical. It really is, because I'll try to figure out what's wrong with me. Like, oh, yeah, I had a coffee at 11 a.m.
I'll try to avoid giving Bernie coffee if he asks for it.
Yeah, he's
Or
weird.
I'll get him the smallest one possible.
I would drink more tea if they didn't serve tea at 190 degrees.
It's pretty brutal.
Or if it didn't look like
It's probably hotter than that, isn't it?
Well, Monty had a comment.
Money said,
just tea looks like piss.
Maximum.
he looks like piss. Okay.
Shall we get the things that Monty eats versus what the rest of everyone else in the office eats?
I love coffee. I tell you that. I'm gonna miss the cafe downstairs.
So how was Anime Boston, Monty? Because you went there after PAX.
All right, yeah. So like PAX was awesome, man. PAX was awesome. But as soon as Anime Boston was done, I just started. My girlfriend was bugging me for months to build her a costume. I'm like, I'll build the costume. God damn it! And it was like a week between PAX and Anime Boston. I built the costume, and that was the highlight because I built her this awesome costume. And
What was it a costume of?
it was a female version of a male Final Fantasy character,
Which one?
Ooh.
Squall Lionheart.
Oh, okay.
And it was hot. It was very hot. And we got stopped every 2 feet. People wanted to take pictures. It was very cool. And I actually got recognized sometimes, which is odd because no one ever recognizes me.
Did you see? I guess today you haven't done it yet, have you, Jeff? The USB memory support for the 360 came out.
No. I haven't done it yet because I don't have I think hopefully Bernie ordered me one a little while ago.
I did not.
I asked you to.
I did
I
not.
said I'll take whatever you get, and you were like, okay.
I didn't order myself one if it makes you feel any better.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
I
I'll
got
go pick
busy
one up.
trying to post a news post to our front page, which takes about 45 fucking minutes.
They can really do that in a software update? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing what they can do.
You know what's interesting about it, too, is that Gus was wondering why they killed the third-party memory adapters, and now it seems like they've just gone completely
The opposite direction, right?
opposite.
I mean, the line that they towed on that was that you put save data on something that you can then take off and plug into a computer easily. It's going to allow for save gaming and for it's like a backdoor into the system, right?
Right.
And so they just added a portable hard drive to your Xbox. It seems very weird.
It seems like it's the same thing. Like having a third-party memory unit that fits that same form factor is just the same as plugging in a USB device
identical.
at this point.
Yeah.
So I mean, are they going to re-enable support for those third-party memory units now? Or
I would.
Or do you have to get an adapter to be able to plug them into the USB port? Is that acceptable? Like a third-party memory adapter going into a USB port versus the memory?
Do you think it's just a port issue?
Like maybe I don't know where the line is drawn.
Yeah, I don't know.
And we had them, and they became obsolete on us.
Yeah,
You bought them like the week before they got shut down, didn't
We
you?
did. We really did. We just wanted the more storage. That was it.
Weren't those essentially just like little SanDisk, like little SD cards inside of a shell?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Can't you just take those out and have a card reader and just stick that in as your memory?
Yeah, we could. Actually, I was going to say that now you can buy a USB adapter to where you can put those little memory cards in now. So you can just go out and buy it.
Yeah, because you already have those.
Was it in preparation for this that they stopped supporting third
Like,
party?
It wouldn't make sense, though. Why would they kill it to then... It really doesn't make sense. Why would they kill one to then allow it in a different format?
Maybe they didn't want a third-party company to scoop their new feature.
No.
But
Maybe.
they're already doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, that's not... I mean, to scoop it, I don't know. Because it's
Like
just
they were afraid that it would steal the thunder. That people would be less excited about buying the Microsoft SanDisk 16 gig memory card.
But it seems
Yeah.
like they're not really pushing that. They don't care. They didn't just open up the software update doesn't just open up compatibility for that. It opens up compatibility for everything.
That's true, but they are launching two Microsoft USB drives next month.
Yeah.
What are those going to be? Those going to be hard drive or flash drives?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
An Xbox 360 branded USB flash drive.
There you go. Was that 8? They're doing that 8 and a 16 gig, right?
I don't see the specifics anywhere. I just see the initial announcement about it.
Yeah, I think one's 40 and one's 70.
And the most you can put these in is 16 gigs.
Right, and you can have up to
Correct.
2 devices connected to the console at a time.
Wow.
So,
What was the most before?
512 megs.
Huh. Okay.
So I wonder now, this could be significant for us. You'll still be able to use your memory cards, the existing ones,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to have USB as well. Can you have in 2 memory cards and 2 USB devices? This won't be relevant to anybody else in the world, but it's great for me if I want to switch characters between boxes.
I think so. It looks like it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
You'll
cool.
probably need a hub, though, because there's only 3 ports on the 360.
No, I have 2 memory ports and I have 2 USB ports.
Oh, I see.
So I could
probably could.
spread
Hey,
stuff out.
Could we, for production purposes, could we now rip the Halo 3 ODST multiplayer disc to one of those flash drives, along with all the maps and everything?
Yeah, you could, but you would still need the disc and the drive in order to play it.
Oh, right.
And we just as easily do that to the hard drive, which we do.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to sit there and hear the disc spin all day. Yeah, it'd be cool if you could DRM assign your box, your disc to one box, the way you can do with Arcade.
This would get around my laziness and my desire for a multi-disc Xbox 360 changer.
Oh, man. Don't start on that again.
They did limit this to 16 gigs. Why would they do that?
That's a really good question. Like, why? It seems like a very arbitrary number, right?
Or that they just don't want to get up and compete with their own 20 gig hard drive, which comes with
Yeah,
it.
I was going to say that.
Do they still sell the 20 gig hard drive? I don't think
they do. They
the
just sell
20 gig,
60s and 125s, right?
I think it's
and there's a 250
250s.
I
coming
think it's
out.
120 and 250.
120.
I think
Hold on, I got one on my desk. What
I
do you
think
say?
you can get an Xbox 360 arcade with no hard drive. You can get an Xbox 360 Elite with 120, or you can get the new 250s that are coming out.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a 20 gig model anymore.
I need to get one of those 250s. And I definitely need one of these USB drives. Although I think I'm going to hold off for the Microsoft one.
Really? I think I'm going to go take a look and try to get one USB drive later today.
I'm a sucker for like officially branded products.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're sticking like all the same manufacturer. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
You just know what you're getting,
owning all Apple devices.
which I'm also working on. Hey, speaking of that, my iPad shipped last night. I'm very excited.
Did it come all the
I
way
didn't know you
from
From Shanghai,
Canada?
Connecticut?
Connecticut. I actually ordered my iPad while I was on a plane in the air on the way from Chicago to Austin because we had Wi-Fi.
Well, aren't you
And I
just a
had
fucking high roller?
No, not at all. I'm just saying I had nothing else to do, and I was like, I wonder if this is dangerous to
I had
order.
nothing else to do, so I spent $500 on a plane.
Which one did you buy?
How about the cheapest one they have?
Have you used it yet?
No, it shipped
It just
yesterday.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I hear shipped. I thought it meant, arrived.
yeah, it shipped yesterday.
They put it in a portal machine.
Yeah.
It's like Aperture Science is shipping all Apple products now.
I mean, why is it such a big deal if something shipped? It's not here.
It's just a patch for your
Exciting.
iPhone.
Means it's on the way.
You apply it and then put it in water overnight. It turns into an iPad. So guys, you bought the cheapest one they have, which would be the 16 gigabyte
Wi-Fi one.
Wi-Fi only version for $4.99.
Yeah.
I think you made a mistake.
I may have made a mistake, but I'm pretty sure that they'll come up with a new version next year that's going to blow the current one away anyway, and it'll probably have a camera. And
Why do you
yada,
think
yada
you made a
in it.
mistake, though?
So if I'm going to buy a new one next year anyway, why not get the cheapest one this year?
Okay.
I also didn't buy it for me. I bought it for my wife.
Wow, it's fucking thin.
Yeah, it's really. I've seen some cool stuff with it, and there was some idiot, of course, just like with any other major tech launch. There's some fucking dope who thinks he's going to be original by going in, buying it, walking outside, and guess what he did?
You gave it to someone.
What? Yeah.
Smashed it in front of everybody.
Why do people think that's original, Jeff?
I have no idea, man. I don't understand why.
He
Is
was
that,
smiling like a fool, too.
like, is that to brag that you can afford to just destroy $500 in front of you?
I think
or
it's
is
out
it-
of spite, just to get to the people.
You know, who's
in
the
line.
dude who's like in line and the iPad sold out right in front of him, and he's like, "That motherfucker broke one."
But why do people? I don't understand
Why do people have
do
to be
that.
disruptive in the first place?
But what? And why is it original? Like, I'm sure the guy thinks it's an original idea. We've seen
no,
that
he
back
can't-
since PS2 days.
I doubt he thinks it's an original idea. I'm sure he's just
It's-
copying
it's,
it.
it's like
He's the first guy to do it, though.
It's the same people who go to the kids waiting in line to get the new Harry Potter and shout out the ending to them. It's just dumbasses. That's what it is.
What started that for you? What was the first thing you remember being spoiler-ish, where people would try to ruin it?
It was book 6 of Harry Potter.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember
Oh, you
Star
would-
Trek 2,
Really?
Wrath of Khan.
I don't get upset by spoilers.
Wait,
mostly.
what was the spoiler in Wrath of Khan?
Spoiler alert.
Khan is Kirk's father.
That Spock
Spock
dies
dies.
at the end.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
And people came out of the theater talking about it and ruined it for everyone else in line waiting to see the movie.
Nice.
He died?
Yeah?
Yeah, at the end of Wrath of Khan.
But they brought him back, though. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
Surfer
Against
Spock.
the glass.
it's like red versus blue.
So sad.
Hey, let's not even draw
You are
comparisons.
and always will be my friend.
Star Trek's played
right.
out.
So we're when are we releasing Red versus Blue this season? It's every Monday at 9 p.m. Central, right?
Which is -6 GMT.
-6 GM.
Figured out your fucking self.
And the reason why Gus is saying that is because people constantly will ask us in comments and in email, hey, I know you wrote it to 6 p.m. Central Time. Can you please tell me what it is in my time zone? I live in Atlanta. And it's like, no, we really can't tell you what it is. So
No,
now we
we-
have a way to do that.
We can. We just don't want to. You should
Well,
be able
we
to
can't
figure
do-
it out yourself.
We can't do it 800 times.
Yeah.
You can't subtract 1 or 3 or something
Yeah, also-
from that.
They just don't know. People don't know their time zone. They don't know how it relates.
Why don't people know time zones, though?
I don't know. Can
Can I ask you a question? Do
Yes.
you understand time zones?
I think that I do.
Yeah.
What's
Do you understand time zones?
I think so. Is
What's-
this a trick
what's
question or
there to
something?
No, I mean, I
understand?
understand time zones, too. What's there to understand?
What's there to understand?
Okay.
I don't know.
So
It's annoying.
What we've done is if that ever comes up and you go to the page now, it'll have a countdown. And the countdown is relative to you.
Right.
Countdowns are not dependent on time zones. So if the
you don't-
day of the launch, you don't have to ask when it's coming out. It'll have a little countdown. When that hits 0, then the site crashes and
If it says the
10
if it
minutes
says
later,
the
you can watch
website comes out in 17 minutes, that's not 17 minutes minus 6. That's 17 minutes.
yeah. So, Gus, are you committing to 10 minutes after a crash? For it to be back?
I think
'Cause it took about 40 minutes on the night of the premiere.
10 minutes is pretty good, I
It
think.
was at the Alamo drinking beer and
We
having
were
a
all
good
getting
time.
drunk at the movie theater.
I figured if it was still broken when I left, then I'd look at it.
Are we like the only ones who like do like regular releases like on a timely basis online?
Yes.
That must cause.
And ironically, that was the idea of the guy who's in charge of keeping the servers up and running. That was his idea.
Me?
I'm sorry, it was the idea of the guy who codes the stuff. to handle
It
this.
was not. I was the one against it. The guy who codes it was his idea. The guy who has to make it work, no, not his idea.
Because I remember hearing about that for like previous season. I thought, hey, that's cool. Never thought about how much it like must kill the servers and shit.
I don't know how I feel about it because the internet that's not the way the internet works.
No, but it's nice to have that consistency. Like, I know that Lost will be on tonight at 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
9 p.m. Eastern.
It's like
Yeah.
that's like TV, you know, what we're used to.
You guys ever been to Hawaii?
No.
I have.
We watch football games at 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
It sucks.
I always felt bad for people who live out like in LA when we would do work out there. We'd be out there on the weekend, like, God, these people have to get up, start watching football at like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. Hawaii? Jeez, I never thought about watching football in Hawaii.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's like all the soccer hooligans that go down to Fado at like 5 a.m. to watch World Cup games.
Yeah, all the displaced Europeans here, whenever the World Cup is on, I mean, they're up at 4 in the morning
Yeah.
watching soccer.
Drunk as shit at like 5:30.
Yeah, can they serve it? That in Texas we have weird alcohol laws.
Yeah, I think you can. Like, Gus and I have seen World Cup games at like Irish pubs here at like 6 in the morning, and there'd be people just hammered.
Yeah, you close, but you have to close, and last call's at 2. But when can you reopen? Like, what's the law there?
I don't know.
Right? If you have to stop serving at 2, when can you start serving?
Yeah, when
again?
start time.
Could you stop at 2 and then start again at 2:30? You know,
It's got to be pretty early because Trudy's Central by the college. They have 7 a.m. happy hour where they serve like Mexican martinis and booze and stuff at 7 a.m. And it's a big deal with a lot of, like, if you ever go into Trudy's at 7 a.m., you'll see a ton of people in like OR scrubs getting hammered because they're all like got off the midnight shift or whatever, and they go and have like their after work cocktail at 7 in the morning.
Alcohol sales in Texas are 7 a.m. to midnight with a local option for 2 a.m.
How do you do it, Jeff?
How do you do what?
How do you really naturally figure out a way to fit in the conversation about local eateries every week?
I love it.
It just
love
comes
my
up-
town, dude.
It's organic. It just like there wasn't. I couldn't even tell how we got into that conversation.
I'm
And
good.
You're right there with Trudy's.
I'm real
And
good.
the local place you eat, the new like cilantro barbecue or whatever.
I didn't mention that, but
Bam,
I'd like
in they
to.
come. So have you guys seen the new thing about that they've recently introduced a new credit that describes what it is that we do, that we are transmedia producers?
The fuck is that?
What?
Yeah, that's the new
Who?
credit. Like instead of director or producer, it's transmedia.
Transmedia.
producer.
Who came up with that?
The Producers Guild of America.
Oh, the PGA. Nice.
Transmedia.
Transmedia.
He's supposed to cover video game producers and internet producers and everything else.
Is that to like? Do they do that to like differentiate us from movie producers because they feel like what we do isn't as important? And if we call ourselves producers, they don't want us in the same boat.
Probably. I mean, it's just credits are. It may sound like a weird thing, but credits can become a very important thing down the road if something makes a lot of money and there's residuals. It's like a union thing where credits a very important thing. One of the most important credits is created by.
Created by.
Yeah, that's an important one. But here, you want to read the blurb here?
Yeah, here.
The Producers Guild of America Board of Directors announced today that they have approved the addition of Transmedia Producer to the Guild's Producer Code of Credits. This is a quote. The Guild's decision to expand the Code of Credits to recognize the transmedia producer underscores the changing media landscape and the critical role of the producer within the new creative mediums, said PGA President Marshall Herskovitz. Anybody? As technology evolves, it's no longer adequate to think of a project as simply a television show or a movie. We now understand that the audience will want to experience the content across several platforms: online, mobile, video on demand, Blu-ray, and now iPad. Look at this guy. Oh, iPad.
Why trans?
I don't know.
I
Like
think
across
this
different.
is a good
Yeah,
time
I
to
guess
bring
so.
it up, but I think I'm due for a promotion. Right now, my business cards say I'm vice president of napping, and I'd like to be promoted to director of moon-based operations, if that's okay.
You're done.
I second it.
One of the corporate
Great.
policies we have at Rooster is everyone gets to make up their own title. You can make whatever you want.
It's true.
I think Ben is the only guy who actually made up a real title for himself. What is his?
It's like CIO or like something like that, right?
He made like director of social media and marketing direction.
I think that's.
And-
I think that's it. actually.
And CIO. He's our chief information officer.
Where do I go to write that down?
When you get your business card, just fill out whatever you want.
All right.
What is yours, Jeff?
Corporate banana. I think.
Still, you stuck with that for 7 years.
I do the same thing here every day.
Yeah,
my
it's very
job.
consistent.
See me? I promote myself. I
I'm
fucking
the-
climb that corporate ladder.
I'm the executive something.
Executive something.
You do the same thing every day. You've got like Achievement Hunter. That's wasn't here when you started. No, the always stuff.
I was just kidding around, but you're
It's
absolutely
not real,
correct.
Monty, it's not a real thing. I mean, it's not. Doesn't matter.
You do bring up an interesting point.
Jeff might be the only corporate banana in USA, so heaven forbid if you ever get laid off, you might have trouble
Finding-
finding another corporate banana position.
It's true. I have to broaden my horizons, go for like corporate watermelon.
You might have to go work at like Chiquita Banana or something.
I have something I'm really embarrassed to admit about television, and that is for too long. I was far too old to think this. I thought that when you turned off TV, it stopped.
You're a fucking idiot.
This isn't like last week or anything. This is like when I was like 7. And for years, I was so mad at my brother because I was like, I turned the TV on. I'm like, when did you turn on the TV? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, it was, whatever was on TV, Super Friends or whatever. And I shut it off. I know, because Superman was talking to Wonder Woman. And Mom had me go do something, and I shut it off. So you must have turned the TV off. I goes, you're a fucking fool. And I think it's one of the things where my brother just let me believe it, hoping that I would embarrass myself in public at some point with that.
That's pretty much your whole childhood, though, is your brother letting you think stupid things.
He was amazing.
Yeah, he was good at
His
that.
ability to torture me as a kid was just unrivaled. On a psychological level. I mean, the shit he would do to me. It was like a rite of passage when we were kids to watch Dawn of the Dead. And it was like a VHS tape that got passed around. And I think I was probably 11, way too young to see Dawn of the Dead.
That is way too young.
But it was like supposed to be like the worst movie ever made. They banned. It was like, do you ever remember Faces of Death when people would talk about that?
Yes.
Like
banned in 7 states.
Yeah, or that
Yeah.
it was illegal in Pakistan, so you had to go watch it. But we watched Dawn of the Dead. We watched the whole thing, and Dawn of the Dead is so friggin' campy. It's just
It's super, super.
it wouldn't even qualify as a horror movie, I don't think, today.
No.
But so I watched all of Dawn of the Dead, and that was what rock solid made me afraid of zombies, like to my core. That movie, I don't know what it was, just the idea of that whole thing, and it probably was because at the end of the movie, credits are rolling, we're sitting there, I'm wide eyed, and my older brother, turns to me and goes, "You know that really happened, right?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, that really happened. That's a true story, and that's what this is based on." He goes, "The army fixed it, but they don't know what caused it. It could happen again anytime."
How old were you? How old was your brother?
I was 11, and he was like 15, or he was 13 at the time, and he told me that. I believed that until I was probably 16 years old. Like, that was based on a true story, and to this day, I'm frightened to hell of zombies. I don't know what it is. I'm an old man now. I look out my window at night and see the street. I expect to see something shambling down the street. Do you ever do that when you look out your front window?
All the time.
I don't like looking at the street at night.
If I get up in the middle of the night to like get a glass of water or go to the bathroom or whatever, I have to go to the front of the house and I have to look out my window to make sure that there's nothing creepy in the front yard.
Do you know where like
and I stand there for about 3 minutes going, all right, the coast is clear, looks good.
do you know where like
Go
the
back to
nearest
bed.
cemetery is to you, Bernie? Like, do you keep track of these things?
I do. I know when I look at houses that are near them. Yeah, I know that. Yep.
We've got that big one by our house.
I know,
Jeff. We
dude.
gotta
I
keep
think
an eye
about it
out
all the
for.
time.
I think you start to think about it like in terms of like hospitals versus cemeteries and stuff like that.
Oh, we're fucked. We got both.
We got like 2 hospitals right by us,
Yeah.
too. 3 hospitals. That's not cool.
One of them's a little kids' hospital too.
I'm going to tell you something else my brother did to me that was torture. It's kind of a visual thing, but I'll describe it as best I can so you can picture it. Take your thumb and your forefinger and just make them the smallest distance apart that you can. And I was doing that one day, and I said to my brother, I go, look how close my finger is to my thumb, but they're not touching. I go, it's really, and it's hard because your fingers kind of shake just a little
Yeah.
bit. The smaller that distance is, I go, look at that. And I'm in the driveway of our house, and he goes, don't move. The problem is he could come up with it so fast, and he would commit to it instantaneously. And he goes, "Don't move." And I said, "What?" I was like 5. I was a kid. I go, "What?" He goes, "That's the closest anyone's ever gotten, ever. I'm gonna go in the house. I'm gonna call Guinness Book of World Records. Don't move." I must have fucking sat in that driveway for an hour. And finally, I couldn't hold my arm up anymore, and I couldn't hold my fingers apart anymore. And I'm crying. I'm crying. I go in the house, and he's watching fucking TV.
He's fucking up your super friend.
He was. And I was like, I just turned off that TV. And he said, I go, we just get his McCall records. He goes, you're stupid.
You know, that's half the reason I had a kid, was so I could feed her misinformation.
Oh, my God.
Like the dad from Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, I can't wait for grade school, man. It's going to be the best.
Oh, man.
I'm going to be like, your teacher told you what?
You're already feeding your kid bullshit. You gave her those shoose that weren't Skechers and told him they were Skechers.
Yeah, that didn't work out
She got
for
fucking
me.
busted.
I got in trouble a little while back because I told Millie... Maybe I shouldn't. Well, anyway, I was trying to get Millie to go to the bathroom and she didn't want to go. And I told Millie that I asked her if she liked bears, and she was like, "Yeah, of course I like bears." And I was like, "Well, bears eat poop, and bears live in the toilet, so you need to feed the bears, or you're going to starve."
Why did you do that?
I don't know. It just seemed like a good idea at the time.
That a bear
A bear is waiting for her to sit down so you can come out and eat.
Anyway,
Oh, man, you're an idiot.
I paid the price for it because Griffin was not.
You're probably
happy.
still paying the price for that.
Yeah, well, anyway. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the reason, like, I'm pretty sure my mother, who is probably listening, but, and I'm not backing down from this, Mom, I'm pretty sure my mother had a kid just for the indentured servitude. Like, I existed to do chores for my mother. Like, laundry, like, I'd get home from school at 2:30, right? And I had to call my mom, and she would give me the list of, like, 7 hours of chores I had to do that day. That was sort of keeping me out of trouble. And so it was, like, clean out the rain gutters, cut the grass, repaint the living room. I just painted it last week, paint it again. And I'm pretty sure that's the whole reason my mom had a kid, just so that she could push the housework off on somebody else. So I had a kid just so I could feed her misinformation and then laugh.
You sure it wasn't like to build skills? Like maybe she's like Mr. Miyagi. She's like, show me, clean the gutter. She throws a dragon strike.
Like one day it's all going to come together for me.
Yeah, it'll be like the end of Signs.
Everyone will walk out saying, "Man, the last one was better. This one sucked."
You'll be attacked by a guy covered in leaves. You'll be, I know this.
Somebody's going to assassinate the president, and my mom's going to be like, fold the towel.
Maybe it's already happened.
Maybe it has. Maybe I'm a sleeper agent and I don't even know it.
Maybe you missed your calling. Nothing came up in the Army where that came important?
No, not that I can remember.
Did that help you push the other journalist out of the way when you were diving away from the white phosphorus?
Those are just my razor-sharp survival skills.
What was your worst chore growing up? Like the thing you hated to do no matter what?
I can tell you, for me, it was cutting grass because I'm fucking allergic to grass. So I had to cut the grass, and I would always complain to my parents, like, I'm allergic to, I'm allergic to grass, don't make me cut it. So, like, they were like, oh, here, and they bought me, like, a dust mask, like the little, like, 50-cent one you get, like, at a hardware store, like, here, this will make it better. I'm like, it's not gonna fucking make it better. It doesn't do anything.
In your parents' defense, you're allergic to grass. Come on.
I know, right?
They made me. This comes from somewhere. I didn't choose to be allergic to grass.
I mean, it sounds made up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, Hullum's allergic to water. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Sounds weird, right? He's allergic to chlorine, and he's even allergic to the small, minute amount of chlorine that's in normal drinking water.
So what happens if he drinks water?
It's mainly, Matt and I live together, so we're not going to go too deep into this. But when Matt takes a shower, he turns bright red.
Wow.
Really?
Which probably explains why he doesn't shower a lot.
Yeah, it's all starting to make sense now.
What did he do before Evian, before bottled water?
No. I mean, he's not like allergic, like deathly allergic, but he's got some kind of weird like reaction to chlorine. That,
Before bottled water, sink water was okay to drink.
That's not true. Not if you're Matt.
Apparently not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sink water's still okay to drink.
Do you guys drink tap water? You don't.
Yeah.
I was told
At home.
I was told not to when I went to your house the other day.
No, not out of my sink. Not in my kitchen
You gotta
sink.
get out of the toilet. What's wrong with you?
I go outside to a hose bib and
I
just
drink-
start guzzling.
Like if I want tap water, I'll get it out of the bathroom sink.
Is it really that
Yeah,
different?
I got rusty pipes in my kitchen, so they're a little gross. I need to get that fixed.
Rusty pipe sounds kind of hot though.
That's
No,
When I was taking care,
not
of your,
really.
when I was taking care of your cats and giving them water over Christmas, I had to always like run your water for a bit to make sure there's no more rust coming out.
yeah.
Then
No,
I'd
I
give them
don't.
some.
I don't care.
Oh,
The
they're-
cats can deal with it.
They're cats.
They're cats. They're fine.
It's good for them. It's
It looked
iron.
like coffee. It was pretty disgusting.
What is
Yeah.
rust, Gus? It's just iron and oxygen,
Yeah,
basically.
it's oxidized metal, right?
That's how you need both those things: iron and oxygen. You're good.
It's true.
A little rust never hurt.
He might get a little tetanus, but that's okay.
We do too much today. We do too much of that stuff. I know a guy. He grew up on a self-sustained commune. Am I saying that right?
Huh?
Makes sense.
He talks about like washing out Ziploc bags and things like that. Like when you talk about carbon footprint, it makes them laugh because they did everything themselves. If they couldn't grow it, they didn't throw anything away. There was no trash or anything like that.
My ex-wife's family was much the same, but it was more of a like saving money kind of thing. But yeah, they would if I would make the mistake of like throwing a sandwich bag away, it would be like, why did you throw that away? That's reusable. And I'd be like, and I have to dig it out of the trash and wash it out and put it in a dish drainer. They would get up, like her stepmom would get up at 4 a.m. to do laundry, to turn the washer and dryer on. She'd prep it before she went to bed, and then she'd get up at 3 or 4 because they had determined that was the cheapest time of the day for water consumption. Like, I guess it's on a scale.
Yeah.
And energy and water, I think, are both like
so
that.
So that they would, like, I mean, I guess it worked for them. They had a ton of kids, and, they saved money, but I couldn't live like that, I don't think.
I mean, that close, cut it that close?
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. I mean, and when we talk about recycling, too, recycling's weird now because we all act like, we're so, conscious and aware. We're really just throwing things away differently. We throw stuff in the blue bin versus throwing away in the brown bin, right?
Yeah, but you feel good about yourself when you
Yeah, you do. Like, look at me, I'm recycling. It's like, no, it's like my dad recycled because I never got to throw away a glass jar.
Do you ever think about, like, we have those big single-stream trash cans now, and my trash consumption has probably gone down by about 70% because it's almost everything you throw away is recycling, and it goes in the recycling bin. And then the fucking city goes and makes a killing recycling all that stuff.
No, they don't.
You don't think so?
The city lost $30 million last year on that project.
Did they?
Yeah. It's a big fucking debacle. They're
Why?
supposed to make money on it, and they're not.
Well, it's because they're mismanaging it.
You know what they do with the recycling?
What?
They put it in a truck and take it to either Dallas or San Antonio.
Really?
There's no recycling plant here in Austin.
What about Ecology Action?
There's no recycling plant that can handle the volume.
What do they do with that? They get the big blue bins and they just go through and they put them on a conveyor belt and sort all the crap out? That's what I think happens.
They just send it to another country where trash is more accepted. They send it all to China.
Didn't they find like a big fucking like Texas-sized piece of garbage out in the Pacific or something?
Yeah, there's like a floating island of garbage. Like a zone
Yeah,
of
there's
garbage.
an interesting documentary you can watch online. I think it's on the Vice website, vice.tv or
Dude,
something.
that is a great website.
I'll put
by
it in the
way.
link dump, and they have a documentary
Vice is a good website.
about
Fantastic.
some guy who decides to get in a boat and wants to go out and find this giant Texas-sized island of garbage.
Does he find it?
Yeah, he finds it, but it's not really like you picture. It's not like a solid island of trash. It's just like a big zone where there's a lot of trash.
Right, and you can
everywhere.
probably boat through
Yeah,
it.
It's not like it coalesced
it's
into like
it's
something
really
you can
disgusting.
stand on.
Well,
right?
it's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, also described as the Pacific Trash Vortex.
Wow.
Should mention, Vice is a great website, but be careful when you go there. There's some very disturbing stuff on that website. It's a lot of like independent journalism. You could very quickly see stuff you didn't intend to see.
Yeah.
You mean like people getting shot?
People getting
Kind of-
beheaded and stuff. Yeah, like really
like foreign
rough
news
stuff.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing you can see on there, which is really weird, is weird experiments that we talked about this before, like the Spark guy.
We did, yeah.
And Vice did a story about a guy who went 2 weeks without any modern sanitary practices. Yeah, conveniences.
What happened to him?
He got really gross.
Yeah.
He got really gross.
He got really, really gross. Yeah.
And his coworkers were like, "Please go shower right away." Immediately.
So he didn't like sequester himself and do this. He was still like
Nope, he didn't.
interacting in public.
Like imagine 2 weeks without brushing your teeth, or he brushed them with his finger and pumice,
Yeah, or he had like some kind of a what was like a stick or something that he was allowed to brush with.
a thistle.
Thistle or something like that. Yeah.
Allowed. Well, who was
terrible.
stopping him?
Oh, it's part of his experiment,
Oh.
Yeah.
which we can relate to. I like that.
I like that too.
People do stuff. I'm glad when other people do stuff like that. Other people that aren't you.
Yeah, other
guys.
people that don't work in this office.
Yeah, but going 2 weeks without a toilet. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's like a while
You
back.
learn to hold it a lot more.
Good lord.
Maybe 8 or 9 years ago on PBS, there was this show called 1860s House where they took this family in England and they put them in a house and they had to live under the same rules. Like they could only it was 1860 for them and they could only buy things that existed in 1860. They had to prepare food the way you would prepare it in 1860, and that family went crazy in about 4 days. It was brutal.
Really?
Because
So,
like
what do you mean?
cooking a meal was like a 6-hour affair,
Makes sense.
and doing the laundry.
It was all like
and-
wood burning stove or something.
Yeah,
to,
so
like,
they were
chop wood
up
and-
every morning chopping wood, preparing like all that shit. Then like taking care of the horses so the dad could go to work because the dad still got to keep his modern job, but he had to take like a horse-drawn carriage to the modern job, and the kids could take the horse-drawn carriage to school. Putting on the kind of clothes they could only bathe. They only bathed like once a week because it's a lot of work to bring pails of water up into the upstairs of your house where the bathroom is. Like it was a whole thing. It was like that. Just the maintenance of living was like a full-time job.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
Brutal. Yeah.
Nasty.
Gus talks about being allergic to grass, but Gus is actually kind of a very old school guy. Like if I was trapped out in the wilderness with anybody, I actually want to be with Gus. So there's no grass around to attack us. I've been reading a lot of those. You ever read any of the Cormac McCarthy books at all? He wrote No Country for Old Men.
No, I've never read them.
And The Road, because we talked about that.
Did he write No Country for Old Men?
Yeah.
I know that he also wrote that series of books about that dude and his buddy that moved to Mexico.
Yeah, it's All the Pretty Horses.
Yeah.
And then The Crossing. And I'm reading The Crossing right now. It's awesome. You should read those.
Yeah,
it's really good. Gus, and you would really like them, I think.
All I hear is about how
I love
mega
No
depressing
Country.
they are.
Mega depressing.
Yeah.
Man, the first 100 pages of The Crossing are pretty damn amazing,
Really?
I'd say. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You know, maybe I will get an iPad just so I can start. I haven't read in forever, and I feel like it's because I don't like the medium.
I use the Kindle app on my iPhone all the time.
The screen's too small. I've tried using the Kindle app on the iPhone, and it's a piece of shit. I like
Really?
the Kindle.
The Kindle's cool.
Kindle's awesome. I wonder if the iPad would be cool.
The Kindle
for that.
got my wife reading a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I see she's just buying book after
Yeah,
book.
your wife reads constantly.
Yeah, she's been nuts lately.
She had a Facebook status update about a book yesterday.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Bookworm. Very good nerd.
What a nerd. Jesus.
Kick sand in her face when I get home. But I wonder if the iPad will have that same Kindle app that the iPhone does.
It should be able to run the same. It's the same operating
Yeah,
system.
but will Amazon make the app?
Yeah, it's
for
an
the
interesting
iPad?
question. Plus, because the iPad has its own bookstore
Right.
with like 300,000 books in it.
I
or
think
whatever.
Amazon wants the iPad to go away as fast as it possibly can.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. And now, did you hear one of the gadget blogs was talking about the HP Slate? They've already got a release date on it, and it's set to follow up. So
That HP Slate, who gives a fuck about that? But I care more about these other companies because it seems like these were all companies operating independent, like having their own independent business models, and now you're starting to see overlap. And these once friendly companies are starting to turn on each other.
Yeah.
Like Google and Apple. You know, everyone talks about that. You know, Google made a phone. Apple didn't make a fucking search engine. So now they're kind of at odds. Now Apple's making this iPad and touting it as a book reader. You know, now they're, potentially competing with Amazon for that market. So you see I think you're going to start to see a lot of unusual partnerships start to form.
the big showdown apparently to me is Apple and Adobe seem to be just going head to head.
Yeah, and I think Apple's in the right. I think most people are sick of Flash.
I wonder where Amazon makes its money in that deal, though. Do they make their money off the hardware of a Kindle, or do they make the money off book sales? I would be inclined to believe that they make all their money off the book sales.
I would think so,
And
too.
then if that were the case, they would just make a better reader for the iPad than Apple's.
But it's
right?
still like a blemish on the company history.
No, it's a good question. But the other thing too is that Apple has not been very friendly in the past of leaving services alone.
That's true. That's
They'll
true.
just go, oh well, Amazon's sure making a lot of money from our platform.
Turn it off.
Yep. Oh, let's start our own first party book service and let's make it a default icon and all that.
Yeah.
Apple's been very guilty lately of the things, in my opinion, that people always accuse Microsoft of doing.
What else did they do? Like, what are you talking about? The stuff they've done before?
Well, like shutting off Flash, controlling the apps that can go in the App Store, seemingly not approving the apps that they said they're approving and making sure they work right, and then giving the ability to like turn off phones that are jailbroken and everything else.
I mean, you can even go a little further back and say that they did the same thing by even creating Safari for the Mac. For the longest time, Internet Explorer was the web browser on your Mac.
Yeah.
Then they made Safari, and Microsoft's like, fuck it, we're not going to compete with them. Who cares? So they discontinued making Internet Explorer because Apple made Safari and put it as the default icon, and it was everywhere.
Yeah, look at I mean, just we take it for granted now, but look at the integration between iPods and iTunes. You don't even think about it. You just like, well, I have an iPod, so I use iTunes. But that was a big move to go to iTunes, and everyone just kind of had to do it if they wanted to use their iPod and update their iPod.
And they came out with that early enough. They really didn't have much in the way of competition when they launched iTunes, I feel.
Besides a normal operating system file transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
would say
how
they
would you
did.
queue stuff up? Like on Windows? I guess you could have used Windows Media. Back then, I used to use Winamp.
Winamp. I was going to say, let me tell you about a little program called Winamp.
Which was also a third-party program you had to go out and download. Mm-hmm. Not that big a deal to swap from one third-party program to another.
Is there something that competes with
iTunes is
iTunes
not
on that level?
iTunes is not a third-party program.
From a Windows perspective.
Zune
because it's
Marketplace.
like 90% of computers.
I know there's services like Napster,
Napster.
And it's even hard to describe like what the stuff that Microsoft's accused of being that's quote-unquote evil, But it's just this general attitude of we control so much that you're just going to take whatever we give you. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And if you're the PK Zip or the Winamp of the world, too bad. It's almost like, in a way, if you make something that's so ubiquitous and everyone needs it and uses it, it's just going to become a first-party app, whether or not there's anything you can do about it.
Fuck PKZip, man. That's
What the hell?
I remember
cool.
using PKZip at the fucking command line in DOS.
What's,
Yeah.
what's PKZip?
it was a zipping and unzipping program.
That's how you zipped and unzipped stuff.
PKZip and PK unzip.
Yeah.
And I don't know if zip was a standard or whatever, but if you wanted to zip a file,
Is this on Windows?
you got
No,
PKZip.
it started like in DOS, and it was like in Windows 3.1.
And then along came Windows 95 or what,
then
98 that had
along
zip.
came WinZip, and then came like integrated.
Wow. Man, I was never there for that. Like, I used Macs growing up.
Then you used Stuff It.
Stuff
Yeah,
expander.
Stuff It. That's right. And
Yep.
my MP3 player was a Sound Jam MP or something back then. And even before iTunes was out.
Yep.
A long time ago.
The format zip was originally created in 1989 by Phil Katz for PKZip as a replacement for the previous ARC compression.
Arc, I forgot about that.
I remember RAR. Although RAR's still
RAR's
around.
still
Yeah.
around.
RAR's still around.
The PKZip format is now supported by many software utilities other than PKZip, because I don't know if PKZip is even around. Microsoft has included built-in zip support in versions of its Windows operating system since 1998. Apple has included built-in zip support in Mac OS X 10.3 and later, including other compression formats. And it's one of those things like, yeah, we all use zip, we all need to use zip, but here's this company, PKZip. What the hell happened to PKZip?
Yeah.
Were they bought by Microsoft or were they bought by Apple? Did they license technology to them? It's just, no,
Or
it's
they just
included.
went the fuck away.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did they open up the standard? These people couldn't have used it. If it's a standard and if they have a patent on it, they can't use it without their permission. So they may have opened up the standard or licensed it to everyone. And also, how long does a trademark like that last? That was 21 years ago. There may be like an expiration on technology trademarks like that.
I don't think it was that fast, though, because the first version was released in 1989 as a DOS command line tool distributed under shareware model with a $25 U.S. registration fee, $47 U.S. if you wanted to get the manual with it. The latest version of PKZip, now called SecureZip 12.4, was released on 12/14/2009.
Wow, just a
So,
couple
wow.
months ago.
And now supports operation on Windows 7. I still wonder when Apple is going to make a Photoshop alternative. Aperture's kind of close.
I've never used Aperture. You like it?
Not really.
Oh, do you have Aperture?
I've used it before.
Oh, I've always
Is that-
I've always wanted to try it out. I know they let that new version come
that
out.
It's not quite the same thing at all. It's
Is
not
that made by Apple?
Yeah, I use GIMP on my Mac.
Do you?
Yeah.
You like GIMP?
I fucking hate GIMP.
Then why do you use it?
Yeah,
It's free.
I used to use it back in the day, but I could never get into it.
I'm with you, Gus. I
There-
have to get Photoshop because I just can't put up with GIMP.
There are some fundamental problems with the interface in GIMP, and then on top of that, like GIMP doesn't run natively in like the Cocoa framework, so you have to have X11 installed because it uses an X11 Windows system. So you have to install that additionally. So anytime you launch it, X11 launch it. It's from their standpoint, it's probably easy because it's all Unix. They just it's just a unified development process for them, but it's inconvenient from.
You
a
think
user
Apple's
perspective.
working on a Photoshop alternative?
That's what Bernie just asked.
I wouldn't be surprised. They are so contentious with Adobe at this point.
Well, I don't blame them. Adobe, quit making Premiere for the Mac and
Well, I don't blame
just kind
them
of
either.
pulled out, and then as soon as they switched back to Intel,
After they made Final Cut,
yeah, what are you gonna do?
yeah, what are you going to do exactly? What are you going to do? That seems to be the heads-up thing now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost like
God bless Final Cut.
in
though.
our industry, at least, it's like people who use PCs. It's like Adobe versus Apple more so than it is Windows versus Apple. Because God knows, I can't use any of our Apples for any business applications. I'm sorry, there's nothing. It's the last thing that anyone develops for. Like if I run payroll, or if I run do anything with the 401k or any insurance stuff, anything like that, anything business related, I have to reboot and go into PC mode. It just doesn't work.
that's lame.
It's hard. Yeah, it's
a
pain.
that's I hate to be the defender. I agree, it sucks, but that's just shitty customer service and shitty development on these business providers' side. They should at least support Firefox.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know
Mac
what to
doesn't
say.
support Firefox? What?
Hey, welcome to the
Money just
podcast, Lonnie.
Wait, what?
We're talking about third party. We're
talking about
Oh.
Mine still has the caps lock key on.
All right.
We're
I mean,
talking-
Firefox is a huge portion of the market. It's almost equal with Internet Explorer.
First conversation I had with Jeff, I told him like I'm so fucking slow, like a brontosaurus or something like that.
we learned a brontosaurus doesn't exist.
Brontosaurus does not
Have we
exist.
talked about that?
I don't know if
haven't
we-
heard this.
I don't know if we talked about it.
Did you know that the brontosaurus is not a real dinosaur?
Was it?
And that many people know this.
It's been known in public knowledge since the 70s. I think is when they first
I was
started
born,
to discover that.
I learned about Brontosauri after the 70s.
Yeah, no, me too.
Brontosaurus.
Me too.
Wait. What's up with that? Brontosaurus is not real?
It's not a real dinosaur. It
is
never
it?
was a real dinosaur. It was... Gus, you're going to love this.
Was it like a Diplodocus and just made wrong or something?
Diplodocus.
Diplodocus, or however you fucking pronounce it.
Sweet nothing.
Diplodoci.
Do you know
it
that
a
they found the
brachiosaurus?
bones... He's looking on Wikipedia because he doesn't believe me. They found the bones...
I'm
of
looking at
Google
something
Analytics.
else.
Oh, Gus has a pie chart up. That's
He
like
does.
porn for Gus.
I'm coming back to this. Okay, they found what?
They found the bones of 2 different dinosaurs in one pit, essentially like a grave site for dinosaurs, and they built a Brontosaurus skeleton out of multiple dinosaur bones.
That's retarded.
And apparently it was some huge paleontologist.
Yeah.
Why do they keep teaching this? I know
It was a big
I learned
scandal.
it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they say that like there's no way a brontosaurus could exist. Like a brontosaurus couldn't wouldn't be strong enough to support the weight of its
So
head
what about
and neck.
Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus and all the big ones?
I don't know what that is. What is a Diplodocus? You gotta...
It's like the long ones, like in the movie Dinosaur.
You're a real joy to have on the podcast, Monty.
Monty's drunk.
I
So
don't
even when you,
drink.
when you look at Brontosaurus on Wikipedia, it sends you to Apatosaurus. And it was what they have now determined that people thought the Brontosaurus is actually a much smaller thing called the Apatosaurus.
So were there any of those long-necked, four-legged ones?
So, some of them, but they have much longer tails, and they're not quite as long-necked as they made them out to be.
Because
Yeah.
the Brachiosaurus was supposed to be bigger than the Brontosaurus, right?
Dude, our knowledge of dinosaurs exists solely in what's his name?
Michael Crichton.
Yeah, Michael
No,
Crichton.
not even that for me.
I know.
Mine's like the intro to the Flintstones.
I know
That's
Jurassic
it.
Park. That's it.
If Fred Flintstone didn't use it to pick up rocks or to watch TV or send a message to Barney with, I don't know what it is.
Was it Dino with Diplodocus?
Once again, dude, I know Velociraptor, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and Brontosaurus. I can talk amongst those 3 dinosaurs when
Right.
we got a conversation.
Going back just a real quick step. Our website, roosterteeth.com,
Yep.
only 26.7% of our visitors use Internet Explorer.
26.7% of our visitors use Internet Explorer.
What's number one? It's obviously Firefox is number
Firefox,
one.
43.44%.
Is there a way to tell between how many of those Firefox users are
I-
PC Firefox versus...
Yeah, I can break that down if you want. I think it's irrelevant. We're just talking about like support for
Oh, right,
a web browser.
Right.
What's where does Safari fit in there?
Safari's number 3
At-
at 15%.
That's higher than I would have thought.
Yeah.
I'm gonna risk sounding uncool here. I'm gonna do it. I'm ready to throw my reputation.
There's a first time for everything.
You're
Under
gonna
the
throw
bus.
cool to the wind.
I like Internet Explorer better than Firefox.
I don't use Firefox. I like Safari.
Firefox to me gets. I've never had a computer or a program on my computer use more memory, and I realize it might be the add-ons.
Not
or
Premiere.
whatever. Well, okay. Well, let's talk about a simple application.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am always surprised how much memory Firefox
Yeah,
is
Firefox-
using every time I pull
Firefox-
up the Task Manager.
I can't use Firefox because it
Jesus.
crashes every 30 minutes.
300,000.
Because it's just like-
And you have to update it every
Great.
other day.
We're going to get a fucking ton of hate mail now because of this. But no, I agree with you guys. I do not like Firefox.
something.
I love
But I
Safari.
used it, and it was really great when it first started, and then something happened to that
It just
thing.
became bloated.
Bloated, right? It
Yep.
just
Yeah.
got blur, which is what they always accused
Which
IE of being.
is why you used to use it instead of Internet Explorer back in the day.
Right.
That
And
being
it has
said,
the same problem.
like you were saying earlier, I just realized there is one thing I use Firefox for. I listen to Sirius online, so I can listen to Howard Stern at work. Doesn't work in Safari.
Yeah.
I have to load up Firefox to listen to Howard Stern.
I
Sucks.
You know what's surprising? Google Chrome is our number 4 web browser. It's almost caught up to Safari.
That was fast.
Yeah, it's pretty close. And then Opera's in a distant 5th.
How have you ever used Chrome?
How is it?
I used it when it first came out, and I didn't like it. I hear that a lot of the stuff got fixed, so I haven't tried it
You
again.
should give it a spin. Works on Macs, right?
Yes.
Changing web browsers is like changing internets to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really weird feeling. I switched to Safari just because it was integrated in the Mac, and I was already changing the look and feel of everything anyway. But man, it's like going back to Netscape 1.0 when you look at Chrome, you're like, this is not right.
Plus, I like Safari because, just from a stupid perspective, like all my mobile me stuff syncs up. So, like,
Yeah.
I maintain, I'll add a drunk tank bookmark that I want to talk about on my desktop. It shows up on my laptop or vice versa. It just all.
Do your
all out there.
bookmarks sync to your iPhone?
Only when you manually sync. to
When you
iTunes.
manually sync
There's
them?
no
Okay.
over-the-air sync for
That's
bookmarks.
too bad.
I know, that's stupid. I don't understand that. That's retarded. That's the feature they should have.
Yeah, maybe maybe in 4.0, right?
Maybe. Which they're announcing later this week after our fucking podcast.
That's so dumb. I mean, a bookmark's like what, 300K?
I know, right? I mean,
If that.
It's annoying as hell to me that I can't like if I see something on my phone, I can't add it to my bookmark there and have it show up on my computers to talk about on the podcast. I have to be like, oh, Let me go to my computer and add it. Okay.
Manually syncing means you have to plug it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then go through the backup and then the sync. It's the whole thing.
And otherwise, you could sync up other stuff on the iPhone.
Yeah,
right?
like music and movies and photos.
Or like your 50th update for Doodle Jump. I mean,
Apps.
how often are they going to update Doodle Jump?
They're giving consistent content for free though. They got all those different levels that are always coming out.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
All right.
That they have over updated that game. Like the scores are no longer relevant.
When you yawn, that's the one thing you don't have to do into the microphone, Monty. I know we went over having to do everything into the microphone before we started the podcast. But as boring as the podcast
Great
is,
podcast today, guys.
yawn in another direction.
That was that
I normally edit them out. It's not a big deal, but that was the biggest yawn in the world.
that was
And
the
it was
clearest
like,
thing
right
all
at the
day.
microphone.
So excited to be here.
I love the podcast. It's awesome.
I'm reminded of the first meeting all over again. When we had.
Oh, that's right. We forgot to mention that Monty was the guy who fell asleep during the first meeting, and that was or his first meeting here, he fell asleep during. And I didn't understand how a guy who just started here would fall asleep. But then, as I worked with Monty for I think 3 days after that, I quickly understood. Monty's like a machine. When he's awake to work essentially and to animate and to do stuff. And when he's not, that time is just like doesn't matter what
He
it
just
is.
powers down.
It's it. It's exactly what it is. He literally goes into sleep mode. It's like, I'm going to go into sleep mode. Like, he'll do it in his chair. He'll be like mid-animation, tearing off caps lock keys.
Yeah,
and it's
he's
like, that's it.
When we were shooting
So hit
immersion,
spacebar in 4
he
hours and wake me up.
It was before his scenes came up. He was sitting there with his sunglasses on, asleep, with music, like with headphones on, and music so loud I could hear it 15
You're
feet
gonna
away.
be deaf in the
and
next
he
6
was
months.
still asleep with that music on that loud.
You do need to watch how loud your phone music is. 'cause
You're
It's
killing
not
yourself.
that loud.
It was loud, dude.
if you don't think it's loud, then you have a serious problem because you're already going deaf.
Okay,
I can hear you now.
I'm sorry for the diversion, but you said they over-updated Doodle Jump.
They have over-updated Doodle Jump. But one thing, though, is that back to the Monty thing real quick before we get away from it. You always hear about people who want to change their schedule. Like, didn't Swatch have that thing where they wanted to go where it was metric time?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Swatch wanted
it was
to
a
have
big deal like 10 years ago, 15
Yeah.
years ago, yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
They want to have beats. Like, then there were 10 beats in a minute, and then, or in a mega beat, and it was all metric stuff.
I'm all for unified time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Megabeat. That sounds awesome.
Then we have to do time zones for our
Yeah,
users.
no, we don't have to have time zones.
Maximum beat.
Be great. But Monty's done that. Monty's on like some weird he's got his own what do they call those rhythms?
Circadian rhythm.
Yeah, circadian rhythm.
What's a circadian rhythm?
It's
It's
like
your-
your biorhythm with sleep and all that.
Oh.
It's like Monty's on like a 36-hour on, 12-hour off cycle, and he just goes flips back and forth. It's awesome. I love it. Anyway, back to the whole thing we were talking about before Doodle Jump.
What's Doodle Jump?
Doodle Jump is a great game.
You'll
on the
notice
iPhone.
that I don't have an iPhone, which is why I'm behind on these conversations. But also, I just don't use Apple, so I don't know what anyone's talking about.
I would not get an iPhone if I were you. I just paid my phone bill this month. It was $220 for my phone and my wife's phone. That's too much money.
I don't understand how you're spending that much. I pay $176 or $177 a month for my phone and my wife's phone.
Mine's
That's not that far away.
Mine's $192 a month.
I
but
want
that's because
70
I had to get unlimited texting.
That's
from my wife.
$75 a month. That's almost a 50% increase. It's up.
From yours to mine, it's like $50.
Yeah,
difference.
it's 50.
You
bucks.
said- what'd you say?
175 to
220.
220.
Oh, I think it said 250. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get an iPhone because it would let me watch videos while I'm on a plane ride or something. Versus
You can do that on an Android phone though,
You have a laptop. You have a laptop on your lap.
yeah,
Right there.
which is awesome.
or a portable DVD player.
But previously,
The problem with this laptop is it
Or-
has no caps lock key.
or
previously I would use my PSP, but then the convergence shit for the PSP is real shit and it's real shitty. But when you use an iPhone, can you just drop a video in and it'll play it?
You have to sync.
I like that Monty's scroll lock key has survived the great keyboard purge of 2010.
Scroll lock.
What does scroll lock do?
It stops the screen from scrolling, right?
I think they got to get rid of the scroll lock key.
Scroll lock, I know. The only time scroll lock ever bothers me is when I'm at the colo. It's a very compact keyboard that we have.
So you know
If
what-
scroll lock is up next to page up, and sometimes I'll hit it by accident, and everything I type, the screen freezes essentially.
Yeah.
Anything I type doesn't show up. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Is the computer locked up? Oh no, scroll lock's on. Okay. Unlike Monty, I didn't just rip it out of the keyboard though.
No. The key I hate is F1 because it fucking brings up all the help menus and it just takes forever to boot up. I'm gonna take that off right now.
When they first introduced the Windows key, do you remember that? And
Yeah.
it would drop you out of games when you hit the Windows key by accident. That was horrible.
Yeah, we
hated
did.
that.
Because all the FPS games back then, it was Control, Windows key, and Alt.
Yep.
I think you use Control and Alt all the time.
I think I would rip my Windows keys out back then when they first launched it.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was really terrible. And
That was like one of my first big things one of the times I knew like Windows 95 was going to be a huge thing was I saw someone playing Doom in a window, like while the operating system was running. And I was like, holy shit, look at that.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I saw a screenshot. I was like, what the fuck is that? They're playing a game and they have their desktop on?
What, I couldn't do that before?
No, man.
No.
You had to go into DOS mode sometime to play games.
You would have to create special boot disks, specifying like
And then you
EMS
had-
memory and XMS memory.
Then you had to get the fucking manual out and turn to page 37.
Yep.
Files
Enter
equals
in the fourth word.
buffer equals.
Man, you know what the first
Yeah.
thing I said to Bernie about the podcast is that you sound like a bunch of old guys because every podcast is like, do you remember what it used to be like?
Well, we are, dude. Come on.
That's not a bad thing.
Sorry, we're not all exciting.
It's
I'm not that much.
we can't always be
I'm-
young and vibrant
I'm
and
not-
full of life
Remember-
like some people.
Remember when keyboards had caps lock? that was just last week.
It's not like I'm that much younger than you guys, but I don't spend so much time talking about how
We're gonna
things
get Andy
used to
Rooney
be.
in here.
We're disillusioned and old. That's why. We're just pissed
We're
off.
just jaded. Yeah.
Jaded.
Maybe
We're
what?
internet dinosaurs.
Maybe-
What kind of internet dinosaur are we, Bonnie?
I'm a Diplodocus. Is that it?
Diplodocus.
Diplodocus.
Maybe it'll happen when I turn 30. I'll end up like you guys.
I'm a .orgosaurus.
Oh, what a...
Man,
So we're not going to top that. We can just end
yeah,
right here.
that's the joke.
Wait.
This is the joke of the year for the drunk tank.
There you
Wait,
go.
what's a .org? Why is that funny?
Oh, man.
All right. We're out, right?
Yeah, we got to stop now.
I gotta go update Doodle Jump.
All right. Well, thanks for
All
listening,
right.
everyone.
Ta-ta.